We're almost to draftmas season, and it's time for A-plus 7-round mock drafts for every team. This is mine for the New England Patriots. 2 trades, several playmakers. I would be ecstatic with this class if I was a New England Patriots fan. Let's get into it, starting at number 14 with Lucas Van Ness, the edge rusher out of Iowa. There are certain people that don't like him, and I cannot figure out why. I get that he wasn't a starter at Iowa. That's just the way the defense works. He's a high-level pass rusher, had one of the highest pass rush win rates in the country. He looks like Thor, and I don't think there's anything he can't do. I think he can play with his hand in the dirt. I think he can play on the inside of a 4-man front, and I think he can stand up playing 3-4 outside linebacker. And he's good against the run. This is one of the most complete players in this class, and yet every team I give him to has some form of problem with him, and it all comes to well, he only played so many. I don't care. Watch the tape. This kid was an absolute dog, and every time I watched him at Iowa, he screamed to me, New England Patriot. Lucas Van Ness at number 14 overall in the first round. Now, we have a trade. New England has the 46th pick, the 76th pick. They give those two up to the New Orleans Saints to get up to number 29 and take one of the hottest prospects in this class, a guy that is screaming up boards, and a guy that I personally love and feels a need. Jonathan Mingo, wide receiver out of Ole Miss. 4.46 at the combine, 6'2", 220 pounds. And if you want to know what this kid projects to in the NFL, he reminds me so much of A.J. Brown, it's gross. Really good with the ball in his hand, really aggressive pass catcher. And yes, I do see the irony that they both played at Ole Miss. The thing that's pushing him up the board is how many receivers you have in this class that are 5'8", $170. This kid's not. They play on the outside, can play on the inside. I think he's going to be a good blocker in the NFL, given some time, just because he really does use that size, that strength. The thing that, if you want to have a reason to ding him, he was never largely productive. Now, the reason I think that is because Ole Miss just spreads the ball around to 5,000 people. They have 7 receivers that I think from all the way down the 3 deep that could be drafted at some point. Yes, he was the one. No, he was never the only one, and that's the reason he doesn't put up the video game numbers. A lot of the knocks on him are the same things I heard about A.J. Brown when I told you when he came out that he was going to be a dog in this league. Number 29 with the trade up with the New Orleans Saints, Jonathan Mingo, wide receiver out of Ole Miss. That means New England has to wait till 107 to get back on the clock. They do here and take Garrett Williams, cornerback out of Syracuse. Really, really fun tape to watch. Outside corner that maybe doesn't have the outside corner body because he's filled out, but he's got short arms, and there's just a lot. He strikes me as somebody that Bill's going to look at, really like the technique. Didn't have a penalty in 2 years. I struggle to believe that any coach in this league is going to love that as much as Bill Belichick. You put him in this system, I think he's ready to play right now. The only thing you have to know is that he has been burned by deep speed in the past. If you know that going in, I think he's better in zone than he is anywhere because that allows him to use his read and react, allows him to use his technique, and keeps him from getting into one-on-one foot races with speedsters that he can't keep up with. At 107, Garrett Williams, cornerback out of Syracuse. One of the most consistent narratives in all of the NFL draft is how much Bill Belichick loves taking Nick Saban players. Does it here at 117. Tyler Steen, offensive tackle out of Alabama. This kid started at Vanderbilt. He has played a lot. Started as a defensive tackle, still really rounding. I still think rounding off as a prospect, and yet he was the starting left tackle at Alabama. How often do you say that? That I think there is still room for this kid to grow. Really good in the passing game. May need to learn how to really be a road grader against the run. The good thing is you're going to sit him behind Riley Reif. You're going to sit him behind Trent Brown, 2 guys that are good at that, 2 veteran guys for him to learn from. He's your 3rd tackle this year with the intention that he takes over for either Trent Brown or Riley Reif a year from now. He could play on the left side and Brown on the right, or vice versa. I think either one would work. I would probably like it the former more than the latter. Pick number 135, New England's 3rd pick in the 4th round, Michael Wilson, wide receiver out of Stanford. I think this kid's going to be a better pro than he was in college. Went to the Senior Bowl and absolutely eviscerated people. 4.58 40 at 6'2", 213 pounds. This is another outside receiver. And I really feel like there is a high end. There's a high end on him that I don't necessarily see out of a lot of other guys in this class because he's a really good route runner. He's a little bit thin for my even at his height, weight, and speed, he's a little thin for me. But every person you talk to talks about the intangibles and how he was a leader in the locker room, and this is one of the best kids you could ever want out of a draft class. And I know he's been in the building with New England. I just worry about the injuries. He's only played 14 games in the last 3 years. And so the best tape I ever saw of him was a smattering of the senior year, and then a lot of what I saw at the Senior Bowl. Some projection, but that's the reason you can get him at the back end of the 4th round. I told you there were 2 trades. Here's the second one, 184, 187. Using those to move up with the Carolina Panthers to 145 to take Ivan Pace Jr., linebacker out of Cincinnati. Is this kid small? He is. And he's short. He's 5'10", 230. But my God, he is fun to watch on tape. Strong as a damn ox. Really good pass rusher. A ton of tackles. 34.5 tackles for loss over the last 2 years. The height is going to be an issue. He could get washed out in the run game. If this kid was 3 inches taller and was 6'1", 6'2", we would be projecting him as an outside linebacker in this league. Where I think he plays is he starts off as a high-end special teams guy, and that ain't the only one of those you're going to get. High-end special teams got to start, bit of a project, learn going down the line, and eventually he's a well-rounded pass rush specialist from the interior. He's good enough in coverage. You're just going to have to be a little patient with him because I'm not sure how he holds up when everybody gets bigger in the NFL. 3 more picks for New England. 192, Michael Turk, the punter out of Oklahoma. I know, nobody ever wants to take a punter. Well, you need a punter, and this kid's really, really good. And I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and tell you I watch a ton of punter tape. I can also tell you my West Virginia Mountaineers are in the same conference with Oklahoma, and I've seen enough of this kid to know that he has a spot in the league, and if any punter is drafted in this class, it will be Michael Turk. His father was also a punter in the NFL. 2 final picks in the 200s, late in the 6th round, number 210, Isaiah Bolden, cornerback out of Jackson State. So everything I said about Garrett Williams being really good technically just doesn't have necessarily a height or the length or any of those things. The exact opposite holds true for Isaiah Bolden. This kid's raw as hell. Went to Jackson State, 6'1", 193, really fast, good in the kick game, was a kick returner at Jackson State. I just feel like you're really going to have to work on the technique. They've had him in the building for a top 30 workout. This is a guy I know they're interested in, and this may just be one of those prospects. And we've seen a few of these. It's just J.C. Jackson's the highest level one, and he had a much different story. This is Bill finds a guy he likes that's a raw ball of clay, and he turns it into a beautiful pot before it's all said and done. Isaiah Bolden at 210 in the 6th round, cornerback out of Jackson State. Last pick of this mock draft, and this one, you're going to have to take a little bit of the journey with me. TJ Luther, wide receiver out of Gardner-Webb. A, we are in North Carolina. B, Gardner-Webb's right down the street. C, I have friends that work there. I've heard a lot about this kid. He was in on a top 30 visit with the Patriots and the Colts. I don't 100% know that he gets drafted. He may be a priority undrafted free agent. I can tell you there are people around the league that think this kid's the next Matthew Slater, that he's going to come in, and he may even be a better receiver than Slater, but he's that same high-level effort, just everyman, blue-collar, hard worker, guy you want in the building. Every person I've talked to that's ever been around this kid says that he is everything you want out of a bottom of the roster, work his way up, watch him somehow find a way to get receiver snaps. TJ Luther, wide receiver out of Gardner-Webb. If you like these picks, if you hate these picks, if you think I hate your Patriots because I'm a Jets fan, which I don't, feel free to comment that in the comments. I answer all of those. We will have my full 7-round mock draft. This is how I think things go. This video, this best case scenario. This is two very high level starters, several more depth pieces, really add to the talent base for New England. As a Jets fan, I'd be a little pissed to see you do this because that's two of my favorite players in the draft, and you get them both in the first round. We will also be live right here on YouTube for every pick of the 2023 NFL Draft. Instant analysis. We do all the legwork so you don't have to. I'm Mullet Mel, Floster a dumbass, whatever you want to call me, ESPN draft nerd Jeremy Green. Join me, Tank Spencer, Football Farley, Brian Haynes, and Hot Wife Amy on draft night. Day 1, day 2, day 3. We will see you at the 2023 NFL Draft.